Hello folks, now we're up to precept number 4 in the grave precepts, and this one is a fairly straightforward one, so let's see where we can go with that. The precept is don't lie. My teacher Nishijima Roshi's comment on this one is, we are living in the universe. The universe is the truth itself. Truth and honesty are bound together. If we want to find the truth, we must be honest. If we are not honest, we can never find our real situation in the universe. That's a good comment. I like that. Here is a very ancient one from the Pali Canon that refers to this. Bhikshus. In his praise of the Tathagata, a worldling might say thus, Shramana Gautama, that's the Buddha, abandons all thoughts of telling lies and abstains from telling lies, speaking only the truth, combining truth with truth, remaining steadfast in truth, trustworthy and not deceiving. That's nice. And the Brahmajala Sutra says, this is that 5th century Chinese sutra that kind of delineates or kind of gives details to some of the other precepts, or some of the precepts, all the precepts. A disciple of the Buddha must not himself use false words in speech or encourage others to lie or lie by expedient means. He should not involve himself in the causes, conditions, methods, or karma of lying, saying that he has seen what he has not seen or vice versa, or lying implicitly through physical or mental means. As a Buddha's disciple, he ought to maintain right speech and right views always and lead all others to maintain them as well. If instead he causes wrong speech, wrong views, or evil karma in others, he commits a major offense. That's pretty straightforward. The versions of the precept that appear in this Evolution of the Precept study guide from various American, I think they're mostly American and European Zen centers, they're all kind of the same. I'll just read a few of them. Let's see. There is no lying. Manifest truth, do not lie. That's John Daido Lori. Communicating truth, clear mind precepts. No lying, abstinence from lying, no illusory words is Kobanchino's version. I will honor honesty and truth, that's Edo Shimano. He didn't always do that himself, but that's the precept he gave. Not to lie, but to speak the truth, Philip Keplo. Here's a couple of long ones. Diane Eshin Rizetto says, I take up the way of speaking truthfully. I take up the way of honestly facing the distrust, uncertainty, and fear that propels my tongue to be disloyal to the truth of this moment. That one's pretty poetic. A disciple of the Buddha abstains from speaking falsehoods. That's Michael Elliston. So they're all kind of similar there. But we get the Bodhidharma One Mind Precept version, which is interesting. Self-nature is mysteriously profound, unexplainable dharma. Not to preach one word is called no illusory words. And Dogen's commentary on this one also is a little weird and poetic. Not lying. The dharma wheel turns from the beginning. There is neither surplus nor lack. The whole universe is moistened, I hate that word moistened, is moistened with nectar, and the truth is ready to harvest. That one's a little bit more straightforward than some of Dogen's commentaries. But let's look at what Kobanchino has to say in Embracing Mind about this precept. And he doesn't really say a lot, so maybe I'll just read the whole thing to you. What is unreal and what is real is a very big subject for all of us. The life we live feels fantastic, but it feels like a continuous dream. Our experiences of the past 20 years, 40 years, even 70 years, where are they? It feels like we are all embedded in the present moment and the dynamic life we live. When we look into our past, the words we have spoken to ourselves and others show a narrow perspective. Even if we make our best effort not to lie, not to speak untruth, still we feel we have many times spoken illusory words. We are afraid we might still be doing this, and that this might still be going on. It is very difficult to describe an actual thing in language. The word cat is the word cat. That word cannot become a cat. It merely points to something. If we experience something together with another person, we do not need so many words. But communication can be complicated. When I say Zafu, all of us understand, but for people who don't know a Zafu is a black cushion, Zafu is just a sound. Also, Zafu doesn't point to something we don't know, but that invisible realm is important when we discuss communication. Intentionally telling a lie is obviously a useless thing to do, and yet we do it once in a while if we are caught up in a difficult situation. We lie tentatively, and then we get into more problems. Sometimes it is to protect ourselves, or to save ourselves, or to relieve other people from difficulty. Very complicated emotions go along with it. We all know that kind of situation, but the lack of clear recognition that you lied has to be corrected. It has to be worked out. So that's what he says about that one. This is an interesting precept, and it's also really complicated, and it's kind of a koan. Now, in the most obvious sort of superficial way, don't lie means don't try to take advantage of somebody or deceive somebody by telling them something that's not true and you know it's not true. So that kind of lie is kind of the easier one to avoid, and most people, if they are conscientious enough, can avoid that kind of lie. There's also the other kind of thing where if you go visit a sick friend and you say, "You're looking good," that's not exactly a lie, because you're not saying it to deceive the person or put one over on them or take advantage of the person. You're trying to encourage them and make them feel better. So, that kind of thing I think falls outside of the purview of the precept of don't lie. But the more deeper problem that the Bodhidharma precept tries to get at is that language itself forces us to, if not lie, at least obscure the truth. Even what I'm saying right now is not the whole truth. And as a writer, I get into this a lot. I feel like when I write a book or a blog piece, or even when I do one of these videos, I am trying as much as possible to be as straightforward as I can and not mince words and not lie and try to be extremely clear. But, when I read the comments below on some of these videos, or when different things kind of come back to me from things I've written, I can see that my communication hasn't been quite clear enough. And in a sense, I feel like, well, maybe I'm telling an untruth. And we also lie to ourselves. We kind of tell ourselves things that we know not to be true, and that can cause ourselves difficulties. And even when we're trying to frame the truth to ourselves, this is something maybe kind of related to Zazen. One of the things we do all of the time is kind of rehash our own lives to ourselves, tell ourselves the story of the things that happened yesterday, or that happened 3 weeks ago, or that happened 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or whenever. But those stories are never the full truth of the matter. So we have to kind of be careful, and probably, if you want to, the Zen answer is just stop telling yourselves those stories. But of course, that's easier said than done. What I try to do is, when I notice I'm telling myself a story about the past, I get back to my Zazen practice. Already in progress, as they say on the television. Sometimes this precept is given as don't speak illusory words, and as I was saying, all words are in a sense illusory, so it becomes a koan. You have to say something, which is the title of one of Dainin Katagiri's books. I always recommend every one of Dainin Katagiri's books as a good thing to read if you want to understand Zen philosophy. But his book is titled You Have to Say Something, which is, I take it as a kind of a wry commentary on maybe this precept, because he's trying to say something about the total nature of the universe or his understanding of it, but he realizes that everything he says is going to be, in some sense, not true. But he has to say something, and that's the title of his book. So this is at once one of the most straightforward of all the precepts, and also, if you dig into it enough, one of the most difficult ones of all. So I think it's something that we can all try to do in our lives, is not lie. So I won't lie to you. Your donations are important to me, because that is how I make my living, and there is an address below on the screen for how you can donate to me. And I also won't lie to you in that I don't want your donations. If you are having trouble financially, please don't send me anything. But to those of you who can contribute, you're really helping me out, and you're making my life a lot easier and a lot better. Thank you very much. Have a good time all the time. Bye.